Who's thinking about buying football in June? Well, with the super early bird football promotion at WagerTalk and Sports Memo, we have a few reasons why. Early bird pricing for NFL and college football combo is $8.99, but using coupon code FOOTBALL100, you can take $100 off, dropping the price to $7.99. If you purchase by June 30th and use coupon code FOOTBALL100 to get your $100 discount, we'll also toss in an additional bonus. On July 4th, we'll take the highest scoring MLB game of the day and give you $10 for every run scored. Yes, so if July 4th, the highest scoring game is 10-9, you will get $190 in wager bucks to use how you choose. This super early bird $100 discount using Football 100 and wager bucks bonus expires on June 30th with no exceptions. So if you plan to bet football this year, this is the lowest price we will offer. So act fast and lock in your favorite football handicappers in both NFL and college football through the national championships and Super Bowl.
Welcome into First Pitch for Wednesday, June 15th. I am Drew Martin. We're breaking down 3 games on the slate with 2 of my favorites in this business, Ariel Epstein and Adam Trigger. WagerTalk.com is where you can find Adam. You can find Ariel. We got her on MLB Network, Yahoo Sports, all of the above. So Ariel, welcome in. Happy Wednesday morning to you.
Happy Wednesday, Drew Martin Betts, and happy Wednesday, Trig. I'm excited to be here. Lots of Major League Baseball to get to today. I've got a bunch of strikeout props. You guys are in charge of the sides.
All right, we're going to get after sides, totals, and strikeout props on the slate today. We got Adam Trigger. Trig heating up on the diamond. I like it. Guys, check him out. His experts page, Adam Trigger at WagerTalk.com. He's got a 5% play up and available. That's the highest rated play possible. You're liking something tonight, Trig. Welcome in, man. How you feeling?
Feel good, Drew. Baseball's been great. The last couple weeks have been great. So I really can't complain. And I have a 4% play that I like quite a bit as well. And I'm giving that one out on the show. So stay tuned for best bets. And I played 2 baseball plays today. One's a 5%er and one you'll get on the show. So stay tuned.
Hey, it pays to listen, guys, and he is on a 9-2 overall run, 2-0 on his 5% plays this month. Let's get after the games for the show. Starting off an early slate game here, almost a happy hour special on the East Coast, 4:10 Eastern here. Minnesota Twins at the Seattle Mariners. Sonny Gray versus Marco Gonzalez, the lefty going for the M's. Total of 8. Trig, we can start off with you first, man. -140 here. That's Sonny Gray and the Twins as the road favorite. You liking anything afternoon special in the Pacific Northwest?
Well, just a quick lean on the side. I slightly lean toward the Twins, but I actually like the total here more. This feels like runs to me, Drew. It just seems like a good spot to fade both teams pitching in this game. You got Sonny Gray, had an awesome month of May, but he's been on the IL since the 29th. So he'll make his first start in about 2 weeks. And he has a pectoral strain. Those can linger a little bit. He sort of declined the rehab start. So he's just going to come and pitch after just like a simulated game. He's going to go here without, making a rehab start. I don't know if that's a huge deal other than I do think we maybe don't see length out of him in this game. Maybe he goes 5 unless he's absolutely cruising. I can't see them pushing him super deep. Marco Gonzalez, he's kind of a fade for me at this point. Very high FIP, which suggests that, he's almost been fortunate to not be worse from a numbers perspective this point in the season. He's had issues with command. And, Byron Buxton has excellent numbers against him career. Carlos Correa is starting to hit. So that kind of suggests the Twins might do some damage. And neither of these bullpens are particularly great. They've both sort of, kind of hovered around in like the 15 to 20 range in terms of like, where they're rated in the league. And if both starters could be out early here, we could get extended looks at bullpens that can be beat. And the total's pretty low. Earlier it was 7.5. I think that's where it still is. So the thought of both teams getting to 4, like it seems pretty manageable that both reach 4. And if they both reach 4, you're a winner here. So Drew, I lean toward the over. I think they're going to do enough to push this one over the total.
Yeah, Trig, I like that. I had the over circled as well. And you bring up the fact of, a pitcher turning down his rehab start, that's usually a fade for me, man, because there's a reason that the organization send him for at least a start or two. And when you go right to the major leagues against the major league lineup, especially a lineup like Seattle that, hey, by weighted runs created plus a top 10 lineup in baseball so far, it might be trouble for him. Ariel, coming to you next, Pacific Northwest afternoon start. What are you liking?
I like the under 4.5 strikeouts on the Twin starter Sonny Gray. As we alluded to, no rehab start. First game of the year faced the Mariners. Gray had 4 strikeouts. The Mariners, whenever a righty starter's up against their lineup, 12-25 over under their K props this year. Righty starters in the last 5 outings, 4 of the last 5 have gone under 4.5. Gray, he has, again, coming off the IL, pitch count could be low. I like the under 4.5 strikeouts on Sonny Gray today.
Hey, it's kind of correlated there, guys. So afternoon special for you. We usually don't hit those, more on the night slate, but it's a pretty good one, and it's a good opportunity to cash a ticket going into the night slate, and a really good game here. Ariel, we get your New York Yankees hosting the Tampa Bay Rays. Not only a good game because of the teams, kind of their past history here, but look at this pitching matchup, guys. We get McClanahan going for the Rays, Nestor Cortez, the two lefties going at it, seeing about minus 135 here for the Yanks. Low total of 7 with juice on that under. 7:05, game of the night, Yankee Stadium. What do you like in Rays and Yanks tonight, Ariel?
I hate it. I love it, though, because it's so contrarian. I'm going under 5.5 strikeouts on the Yankee starter, Nestor Cortez. The Tampa Bay Rays have the lowest K rate in the league against left-handed pitchers. Lefty starters are averaging 2.5 strikeouts a game when up against the Rays lineup. Cortez, he has gone under 5.5 strikeouts in 5 of 7 games this year against a team with a bottom 15 K rate against left-handers. There have been 3 games in the last 2 seasons that Cortez has faced the Rays. He's had 5 in all 3 of them. The only thing that scares me, and the only reason I absolutely know this is in plus money to the under 5.5, is because Cortez's home numbers, especially his home strikeouts, have been beyond incredible. He has gone over this number way more times than he hasn't. I'm just going to ride the numbers and say that the Tampa Bay Rays lineup doesn't strike out much against lefties. It's been proven that he's had 5 strikeouts against the Rays. Is this going to fall short by the or hit it over by the hook? Maybe. I'm going to take a risk, though, with a plus money play under 5.5 strikeouts on Nestor Cortez.
Sure, and coming off of his, I believe his worst start of the season, so looking to ride that trend as well. You know, something on the Rays starter here, Trig, when you look at McClanahan's strikeouts, 7 strikeouts or more in 6 straight games, 51 Ks in those 6 games. This guy's been lights out. It's going up against the Yankees lineup in Yankee Stadium. That kind of brings a different, kind of angle here to go at. But what do you like in Rays and Yankees tonight?
Well, first off, Drew, super sharp call right there by the prop queen, which I expect nothing less. I think you want to fade Nestor Cortez going forward. I think we talked about it maybe a week or 2 ago. Didn't think he could keep this up. Finally gets knocked around by the Twins. So, in theory, Cortez would be a fade for me. And the best way to do it might be to just do what Ariel said and play the under on the strikeout. Because as badly as I want to play against Cortez, I don't know that I really want to bet against the Yankees right now. I mean, they are just absolutely rolling. This team has a historic feel to them. It almost feels like a New England Patriots type scenario, right? Where they continue to just outperform the market. And I know the Rays took some sharp money earlier. It makes sense because, you're getting a plus price with McClanahan, who's been outstanding. But, the Yankees are on this unreal run, 12-1 run. They've outscored their opponents something like 89-31 in that stretch. And so for me, especially having to play against them at home, if it was a scenario where I could get a plus 1.5 with the road team, I'd be more inclined to do it. In this case, like the numbers play would be the Rays here. Take the plus money. That's probably if you're just looking at the numbers, like the numbers would say to do that. But me personally, I mean, this Yankees team, they just do it all. They have the best ERA in the league. They hit. They get timely hits, and it's like I just don't know that I'm getting enough to want to go and play against them right now. McClanahan's been great, but he's got a 4.42 lifetime ERA in 4 starts against the Yankees, so they have had some success against him. So yeah, I'll probably jump on with Ariel. The under strikeout sounds pretty good here. If you pin me down for a side, I would say take the plus money. with the Rays because I think it's a long-term profitable bet, but tough to bet against the Yanks right now, Drew. Don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, and area, I agree with Trig. That's a sharp call there on Cortez. Just a follow-up question for you. You know the strikeout market is as good as anybody. What about McClanahan on the other side? I'm sure you looked at it. I'm seeing 6.5 juice towards the over for his strikeouts. I mean, he's had at least 7 in 6 straight going up against this Yankees lineup. Do you have like a lean for the other side of it?
The problem with this number of 6.5, if you look to McClanahan's numbers as just McClanahan, it looks like a great way to bet the over. However, when you look at the Yankees lineup numbers, the Yankees are only averaging just over 4 strikeouts a game when up against lefty starters. Lefty starters below 500 against their K props. They're 7-10 over under. The Yankees, they do have the 8th highest K rate overall in the league against lefties. These lefty starters haven't had as much success as other starters have on the right-handed side. I stayed away from the number because McClanahan last year had 6 and 3 strikeouts against the Yankees. This one could be decided by the hook. It's not the right call. The numbers just with the Yankees lineup indicate that they aren't striking out as much against lefties. McClanahan's numbers on his own say over. Yankees lineup says under. I don't bet those kinds of algorithms.
No, fair enough. I like it. Glad I asked. Guys, Ariel Epstein, Yahoo Sports, MLB Network, right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel on Wednesdays with Trig and myself, 1:45 Eastern, first pitch, breaking down the games from a betting perspective. We got one game left, and then we got best bets at the end. Huge shout out to the chat box, everybody joining us live. Feel free to let us know what you're looking to bet. We'll get it out here on the show. Any questions as well, feel free to reply below on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We got 8:40, the nightcap for the show. That's 8:40 Eastern, heading out west, at least most of the way out west. A mile high here for Cleveland at Colorado. We get Gomber going for the Rocks. 2 lefties going at it here, Trig. -110, so pretty much a pick-em price here. Slight favorites towards the Rocks at home. Total of 12. You like anything in course tonight, Trig?
Well, I mean, Drew, the number's high, but this feels like a beer league softball game to me. I feel like it's just going to be runs all day long. In this, I think this sets up for just a ton of runs here. The Rockies have been awful at Coors Field, and the reason they've been terrible at home is they just keep giving runs up. I mean, they're giving up, over the last 20 games, they're giving up 6.5 runs per game. So you have Austin Gomber. He's been horrible. Like he was okay last time out, but 6.7 ERA, 1.42 WHIP. The prior 2 starts, he got demolished in both of them. And the Guardians are going to go with Connor Pilkington, who has a 1.4 WHIP or 1.54 WHIP, which is terrible for a starter. And he's never pitched at Coors. So, this kind of reminds me, I looked at all the games yesterday and at a glance, I said, man, that Cubs-Padres over, that's a really high number. And sure enough, there was touchdowns scored in that game. Kind of feels like what we're going to see here. I know it's big. It's like 12. But, man, I don't see, the Rockies, one of the worst bullpens in baseball. It's just hard to not see a ton of runs here. I think it probably gets there at some point. Feels like a slugfest.
Okay. And Ariel, coming to you next, I was on the Rockies last night. Not sure if you saw it, the way that they lost. It was a brutal, brutal loss for me to take. So I was looking to bet them on them tonight. It's just really tough to get back here, pick them price. By the way, I was on the Marlins the night before, a one-run loss that was also brutal against the Phillies. So pretty much whatever I say to bet today, probably bet the other side, guys. But Ariel, maybe you could lead us in the right direction a mile high.
It will turn around soon for you, Drew. Whenever it's decided by a run or the hook, it's going to turn around at some point. The number that I loved today on a strikeout prop ended up dropping. I love the under 4.5 strikeouts at -150 on the Cleveland Guardians starter, Connor Pilkington. Unfortunately, the number in most markets are now at 3.5. It just feels a little too low. However, opposing starters, when they go to Coors Field, especially lefties, those lefty pitchers coming to Coors, averaging 2.9 runs per game. Overall, lefties are 12-11 over under their K prop at Coors. The Colorado Rockies have the 7th lowest K rate against lefties. 4.5 was way too high. Even with a -150 to the under, it was worth it because 4.5 is a really high number. I know Pilkington has been striking out batters. He's had 8 against Kansas City. He had 6 against Toronto. Those are really high numbers against low K rate teams. 3.5 too low. I'm going to stay away. If you get a 4.5 still with a little bit of juice to the under, I would go and take it because Coors Field is known for unders for opposing pitchers, especially opposing lefties.
Okay, good stuff, Ariel. We got the chat box chiming in here saying 812 Colorado 8-1 last 9 games at home against Cleveland. I'm guessing that loss was last night because that's the way that one went. And Philip saying, I always follow Ariel's diamond play. Good stuff, Ariel. You can follow her on Twitter at Ariel Epstein, MLB Network, Yahoo Sports as well. Guys, we do have best bets, but quick wanted to hit a new little segment here we're going to try in terms of buy and sell teams. So over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, teams that we have circled that are either bet on or fade. We've seen trends be a huge trend here in MLB for betting. We saw the Phillies go on that run and just kind of keep betting them. We've also seen some teams just kind of bet against. Remember the Cincinnati Reds out the gate. So I got a team for you. We'll go around the horn here. The Chicago White Sox. I'm actually looking to bet against. When you look at this team, whether it be the uniforms that kind of look cool, we remember them in past years in terms of just lighting it up. And they are hitting lefties very well. But the thing is, against righties, they're a bottom 5 lineup in MLB. They're a bottom 10 bullpen as well. Plus the fact their closer, Liam Hendricks, just went on the IL. Full season, their bottom 10 lineup this year. So overall, I just think the market is overpricing them. Look at them. I mean, what a near a 500 team, yet they're being priced in terms of, being a 7 games over 500. So overall, for the next couple weeks, they're really banged up. Makata is not hitting very well at all in that lineup. I'm looking to actually fade the White Sox here, guys. So that's one team over the next, say, week, 2 weeks. As long as they still are banged up and these guys stay on the IL, I'm looking to fade the White Sox. Trig, did you have a team kind of circled here, either buy on or fade for the next couple weeks?
I do, Drew, but interesting that you said the White Sox because when Girardi and Joe Madden both kind of got fired right around the same time, I think the shortest odds for next coach to get fired was Tony La Russa. So for what it's worth,
and Trig, that would be like a fundamental change though. So like keep that in mind. These are buy on, fade in like their current like situations. If that happens tomorrow, that would obviously change things. And of course on tomorrow's show I can say that, but yeah.
But what I'm saying is if that's like the case where there's someone somewhere thinks he might go, maybe up until he goes, they're the fade, right? Which is what you're saying. Because he's still as far as right now, he's still the manager and it's he's walking guys on 1-2 counts. It's just not really working there for him. So I don't disagree with you, Drew. But but I like the Brewers. Okay. This is a team that, they're gonna be a play on team for me going forward. The reason being, all these teams, the best teams in the league, even the Dodgers, right? Like teams have slumps, they have skids. You look at the Brewers, they lost 11 of 13. Pretty obvious why they're losing. They're just not hitting. One of those losses, Josh Hader gives up a home run, which he never does. I mean, he's the best reliever in baseball. His ERA is even after that, 0.92, a 0.61 whip. So more often than not, if the Brewers get to the finish line, get close to the finish line with the lead, they're going to win with him coming in to slam the door. Christian Yelich starting to heat up, which I'm hoping is contagious for the Brewers. I think if one or two guys start to hit, they may all start to hit. And we know they don't need a ton of offense because they really do have great starting pitching. And, it's a team that, like I said, Drew, I thought they would run away with the NL Central this year. It looked like they were headed to do just that. And then this sort of 2-11 stretch out of nowhere to knock them. Now they're behind the Cardinals. So they did snap the big losing streak the other day against the Nationals. Didn't play well last night against the Mets. But going forward, I think, getting that win out of the way, I think we're going to see more wins than losses from the Brewers going forward. I think this team is just too strong overall to be held down. So for me, a play-on team I'm looking for, and I'll talk about it more in the best bet section, is the Milwaukee Brewers, who I still expect to win the NL Central this year. And I think we'll see some positive regression going forward.
Okay, buy on the Brew Crew. And Ariel, any team maybe buy on, sell, or maybe a pitcher, hitter, anything like that in the prop market?
I'm looking at the San Diego Padres. Just looking ahead to their next few series, they have the Chicago Cubs who've been struggling. They're at Colorado against the Rockies who struggle. The Diamondbacks are struggling. The Phillies don't have a manager. Well, I guess they do, but struggling, hence firing a manager. And again with the Diamondbacks, the Padres are tied for the lead of the National League West right now with the Dodgers. Just looking at those next few weeks, these games are super meaningful for them, trying to go into the All-Star break with any kind of lead or at least staying within contention of the Dodgers. The Padres are going to get back one of their best players eventually in their shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr. Manny Machado has been on fire this year. They have the best starting rotation in baseball, hands down. The Padres have a 6-man rotation. They can't even send their rookie Mackenzie Gore down, no matter how badly they may need to fit him in, because you can get rid of him. He's been so good. He's right now the favorite to win the National League Rookie of the Year. The Padres have so much depth. I love San Diego, especially these next few weeks with those series coming up against teams that are below 500.
I like that one, Ariel. You know who else does? Dan Plesac. I was watching MLB Tonight last night, and sure enough, your colleague there was talking about the Padres. I thought he made some good points, just like you did. I mean, 39-24. First of all, they're in the wild card. They're tied with the Dodgers, like you talked about. You think they could win the West this season?
They could. They have the competition within the division that if whoever comes out of the National League West has a really good shot. They're legitimate. Whereas if you look to the Mets, I'm not discounting anything that the Mets have done. They're going to get their ace Jacob deGrom back. They'll have Max Scherzer out there in the rotation. How much can we really analyze how well they do in their own division in the National League East? I don't care if you win that division by 10 games. The National League West is super, super competitive between the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres all at that top 3. Anyone who comes out of the National League West, I wouldn't put it past them to win the National League, even though I do have the Brewers at 7-1 to do it.
Okay. Gotcha, Ariel. And guys, we got best bets closing it down on the show. Again, huge shout out to the chat box, and feel free to reply below if you're watching on replay. I'll start us off here. The first game we talked about, we got about 2 hours until first pitch. Minnesota Twins and the Seattle Mariners. Gonzalez versus Gray. Guys, I'm going with the over of 8. I thought Trig brought up a lot of good points, all of which I agree with. We get them over 8 plus 100, so even money here. Risk 100 to win 100. And really a couple reasons why, when you look at both of these lineups, you wouldn't really think this, but they're both top 10 by weighted runs created on the season in MLB. Handedness of the pitcher, they're both very well against. Of course, the Twins going up against the lefty, the Mariners going up against Sonny Gray. We talked about Sonny Gray not making a rehab start off of his IL stint. I think that's Fade City. There's a reason why these teams put their starting pitchers in a rehab start. Now he's having to go up against an MLB lineup. Don't like that. Last week, both lineups top 10 by weighted runs created, and both bullpens, hey, very, very, not always lights out here, particularly the Twins bullpen, bottom 10 bullpen by my numbers in MLB. All of that adding up to, hey, day start here, over 8 plus 100, Seattle Mariners, Minnesota Twins for my best bet. We'll throw it over to the prop queen herself, breaking it down. Strikeout props at Ariel Epstein on Twitter. Check her out, Yahoo Sports and MLB Network. Ariel, any final thoughts for the show, and where are you going for best bets?
I hate the word best bet, so instead I'm going to give you a K-prop I haven't given yet. I'm going with the under, 6.5 strikeouts on the Atlanta Braves starter, Spencer Strider. He's got the Washington Nationals, who have the 5th lowest K rate up against those righty starters. Righties against the Nationals averaging just over 4 strikeouts a start. The Nationals not striking out a lot. Strider has gone up against 3 different teams with the bottom 15 K rate against righties. He's got under 6.5 strikeouts in all 3 of those starts with a max of 5. I'm going under 6.5 strikeouts on Strider.
Like it, Ariel. Good stuff. And Trig, as shout out to you, C. James in the chat box. Trig, where are you going for best bets, man?
Going with the Brewers, Drew. I think this is a time to start playing on them. It's a 4% play for me. Brewers minus 120. I mean, listen, Brewers, I talked about earlier. I thought they'd run away with the NL Central. Love Ariel's bet on the Brewers, by the way, that future 7-1. I think if you could jump in on that now, I would still do it.
5-1 now, I think.
Still, I mean, I think they're very live with their pitching. Listen, Corbin Burns is a guy that would have been on my short list to win the Cy Young this year. And he's never lost 3 consecutive starts in his career. And that's what would happen if he loses tonight. So I think it's a good spot for him to bounce back. His career numbers against the Mets are outstanding. 1.20 ERA, 15 innings pitched, and three career starts against the Mets. It's going to be all about hitting for the Brewers. Once they start to hit, they'll probably rattle off a bunch of wins. But I don't necessarily love this start for David Peterson here. Kind of a spot start. He came out of the bullpen over the weekend against the Angels. Now looks like Buck Showalter wants to sort of push his pitchers back a day. So they're going to have Peterson start here. And, I read that his wife is due any day to give birth. I don't know if that's, that certainly seems like it could be a distraction to me. But either way, I don't think he's going to go particularly deep. And the Mets bullpen can be hit. The Mets pitching actually, since Scherzer went on the DL, the Mets pitching has regressed, and I feel like they've been kind of finding ways to win. But overall, their pitching's regressed in those past few weeks. So I'm willing to take a shot against Peterson here. I think I'm getting the far better pitcher in Corbin Burns. Like I said, Hader, a couple appearances ago, complete fluke. He's rarely going to get hit. So if the ball is in Josh Hader's hands late in this game, I feel really good that the Brewers are going to get this win. Like I said, Christian Yelich heating up. I'm hoping that's contagious. Hopefully the Brewers can hit a little bit here. And if they get to Peterson, I think it's going to kind of snowball. And again, I think Burns pitches well. I don't think the Brewers are going to need a ton of runs to win this game. So Milwaukee Brewers, I like them to get it done here. 4% best bet.
And I'm guessing Burns action, right, Trig? Or Burns listed, excuse me.
Burns listed. I always list my pitchers, no matter what. I never bet action. I always list pitchers.
So in this case, you would even list Peterson if given the opportunity.
Yeah, I list him, Drew, because here's why. Even if it's a change that's favorable to me, these guys prepare for a certain guy. So I actually think if a guy gets scratched and then it's another guy that comes in last second, I'd almost be looking to play on the team that just made the late pitching change, because I think the other team hasn't really had time to prepare for them. So the way I look at it, if there's a late scratch in pitching, I'm almost just always out at that point. I rarely come back and rebet. So yeah, always listed pitchers for me, every single baseball play, no exception.
Interesting angle. Okay, thanks for that, Trig. Guys, in recap for the best bets, I'm on the Twins, Mariners over 8. That's an early start, plus 100. We got Trig, Brewers minus 121, and Ariel on Strider there for the Braves, under 6.5 strikeouts. For Ariel Epstein, check her out, MLB Network, Yahoo Sports, on Twitter, at Ariel Epstein. We got at Top Flight SI there for Trig, and I am Drew Martin. Thanks for tuning in. Please smash that like button. Feel free to reply below. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Come back and join us. Best of luck with your bets until then.
Want a free PlayStation? Yes, free. Who would have thought in November 2020, when Sony released that PlayStation 5, that we'd be sitting here almost 20 months later with no consoles on shelves and very few available with online retailers? Well, we got our hands on a disc console, but instead of teaching President Teddy how to play NBA 2K, we'd like to send it to a loyal WagerTalk supporter. You can start earning entries now and repeat daily just by going to wt.buzz/PS5 and perform the social media tasks below to earn entries into our raffle. The contest will end at midnight on July 3rd, and a random winner will be announced on July 4th. Help us reach 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and grow our social media footprint, and you could be the new owner of a PS5.